Since the Starfield Direct, we got a ton of new information about the game. Whether it's about the many planets, different gameplay mechanics, or various other features, there was definitely a lot that we saw. What about the factions though? Were there any new ones we caught a glimpse of, and what will they be like? Well, you're in luck because that is exactly why we are here today. And what is up guys, and from the Denmen here, and today I wanted to take a look at every faction we know will be in Starfield. There's certainly a lot of information, so if you are excited, make sure you hit that like button and comment which faction you are excited about the most. With that being said though, we have a lot to go over, so kick back, strap into your seat, and let's blast off into today's video. In Starfield, the main faction is called Constellation. They are the last group of space explorers, and you join them early on in the game to uncover the mysteries of an artifact found in the tutorial mission. The main story revolves around Constellation. The goal for Constellation is to discover the mysteries of space and will tether the game to its sci-fi roots really well. It will be interesting to see what direction they take this faction in, because it will for sure be a big part of the game. In addition to Constellation, there are other main factions that we know a lot about already. These factions offer unique side quest lines and stories based around their own activities and struggles. We see this a lot in other Bethesda games, like in Skyrim, where there was the College of Winterhold, which was a magic role-playing faction. Similarly in Starfield, while you complete the main story for Constellation, you will also get introduced to other factions. According to Will Shen, the main storyline in Starfield is a tour of the settled systems, and you have the freedom to go off the main path at any time to complete missions for other factions. Bethesda really wants players to be able to play with all the faction lines independently. Your choices, however, will have far-reaching consequences for the factions, including their politics and values. You may even decide who lives or dies and who leaves the faction in some cases. Now let's get into the other major factions, starting with the United Colonies. Based in New Atlantis on the planet of Jemison, they have Earth-like ideals and consider themselves the true children of Earth. The people of New Atlantis value government, military expansion, law, discipline, and the legacy of humanity. The United Colonies is said to be the most powerful faction in the settled systems, just in front of our next one. Next we have the Freestar Collective, which is located in Aquila City on the planet Aquila in the Cheyenne system. They act as the space cowboys and represent the frontier of space. A loose federation between three star systems, the Freestar Collective believe that people should have their own freedom and be allowed to live as individuals. This alone gives off a different vibe from the United Colonies, and I would really like to see the dynamic that is played between the two factions. There is definitely a lot of potential here and could make for some interesting storylines. While they may appear as a less powerful military than the UC, they have a strong industry and rely on judgment and intuition to do what's best for the people. Now we have the Space Corporation of Ryujin Industries. Based on Neon on the planet Vale Alpha in the Vale system, they represent corporate life and have shady business practices. What's so interesting about them is that you can apply for a job with them and engage in sneaky and potentially murderous activities. Like we already said, Ryujin Industries will become available to join through being hired, and makes for a different side to Starfield that the other factions cannot accomplish. I'd actually be really interested to see how far Bethesda will take them, with us possibly being able to rise up the ranks and become the CEO. A way to see the everyday life of Starfield will make for an interesting storyline, and I can't wait to see what Ryujin Industries will become. Next we have a fan favorite already with the Crimson Fleet, located in the giant shipyard called the Key in the Crick system. They are considered to be ruthless pirates who believe everything belongs to them. Instead of having them as just another faction to fight, Bethesda has already confirmed that you'll be able to join them or turn them into the authorities. This leads into some very unique storylines that we could go on. For instance, we might be able to become something of an undercover cop and work against the Crimson Fleet to take them down from the inside. Especially if we were able to subtly thwart their plans while also working for them, would make for such a great storyline. Then on the other hand, we'd be able to plunder the ships of unwavering explorers and become a captain of the Crimson Fleet. This would allow us to either play a good or bad character and create more replayability for Starfield. Either way, the Crimson Fleet has a lot of potential for a great faction, and I can't wait to see what they become in Starfield. We also have a number of minor factions in Starfield as well, including House Faerun, the Red Mile, Ecliptic Mercenaries, and various other pirate groups. To kick us off, one faction I'm excited to hear more about is that of the Ecliptic Mercenaries. They are described as bounty hunters who travel across space to carry out dangerous missions from their clients. I would love to see them as a playable faction, just from the vibe they give off. This one has a lot of potential as a great space bounty hunter storyline and would definitely become a fan favorite very quickly. If done correctly, Bethesda has a great faction to introduce the player to, and I can't wait to see what the Ecliptic Mercenaries are like in Starfield. Next up is the fanatical cult of House Va'ruun. This one we don't have a lot of info on, except that they are made up of religious zealots. This doesn't really give us a lot to go off on, but what makes them so unique is the fact that they are a group of zealots found throughout the settled systems, which is more of a frontier that humans haven't fully explored yet. If I had to make a comparison just from a brief description we have on them right now, I would say that they are like the Children of Adam from the Fallout series. I would actually be really interested to see if we were able to join House Va'ruun like we were able to do with the Children of Adam in Far Harbor, but we will just have to wait and see on that end. The Red Mile has me very intrigued because from the little we know on them, they look to be wildly different from everyone else. From what we can tell, they run space races of some sort on the edge of the unclaimed territory in space. I like how they are a faction we are able to find further out than those like the United Colonies and Freestar Collective. I'm interested to see where they take them, and this is one that I'm for sure going to try and find from the start. We also have the Spacers, which from all accounts is a faction that we know the least about, except for their violent nature. I imagine that they will become somewhat of an antagonist for the player, but it could definitely go in a lot of different ways the more Bethesda reveals. Additionally, there are the Enlightened and the Sanctum Universal, which are hinted at as religious factions in the traits section of the character builder. Then there are the Great Serpent Worshippers. Who knows what they will be like, but from the little we know, they are another religious faction throughout the game. We also have the Argos Extractors, which is where the player starts the game. They look to be a mining company and will likely be a part of the tutorial section of the game. Other than that, I doubt they will play a big part as the game progresses, but we can't really know for sure until we play it for ourselves. There is also the possibility that we will see aliens during our playthrough of Starfield. When we take a look at the artifacts and what characters in the game have been saying about them, we start to learn that humans were not the ones who created them. That leaves the door wide open for aliens to come into the game. What will they be like and how big of a role is still up in the air? I mean, we don't even know if they exist. But if they were a real thing, we could see a number of things play out, like them being hostile or friendly, and each of these comes with their very own story points. This is all highly speculative, but what would you guys want? Do you think aliens would be a good idea in Starfield? Drop a comment with your thoughts. Overall, Starfield offers a wide range of factions with their own quests and storylines, allowing players to make choices that shape the faction's outcomes and influence the game's narrative. As you can see, the factions in Starfield vary from space explorers to pirates and even fanatical zealots. The amount of diversity between these different factions is next to none, and I can't wait to get to experience what they will be like in game soon. As always, stay tuned for more information into the lead up for Starfield and all that it has to offer. But until then, that is all for me now though guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, comment any videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you all next time.